guys, welcome back to The Storied Life. My name is Grace, and it's my very storied life that you're gonna see today. Last time, we had a lot of fun. And I promised at the end that there would be something better today. ATV riding. We had to get up around 6:30 in the morning to get there on time, so I'm a little loopy in the video, but we made it. It was so worth it. We got our gear, saddled up, and got on the trail. I had to admit, holding the camera and hanging on over Dad's crazy driving was a little scary, but it was definitely worth it. And look at the scenery. I mean, it was so fun, okay? It was so fun. The people we went with were interesting too. I loved meeting them, although getting stuck behind the slowest group a couple times wasn't so fun. The two tour guides were great. They had both been living in Arizona for forever and knew a lot about its history. They pointed out some of the old battlefields nearby, a ghost town named Jerome. Remember that name, it's important later. There was also a geology major from Texas Tech who told us a lot about the geochemistry of the buttes. I always want to say butts when I see it. Don't sue me. So he taught us a lot about the buttes and the cliffs surrounding it. We stopped at one such butte to take pictures and have a water break. Dust and dry winds plus 90-degree heat don't make a great combination when you're trying to not get dehydrated. But we did it. It was so worth it. I mean, the scenery, the feeling, I don't know what it is about ATV riding that is just so fun. It's adrenaline. It gives you almost as much adrenaline as riding a roller coaster, especially when you get to drive it yourself. Unfortunately, for most of the ride, I wasn't allowed to drive my own ATV. I had to ride with my dad because Arizona laws said that you have to have a driver's license in order to operate sports vehicles of any kind, including ATVs. Anything motorized. They can't even have motorized dirt bikes until they're 16. I'm from Maryland, that doesn't make sense to me. But it was still very fun, and I got to drive on the way back. It was really funny. The tour guide was just like, okay, take it slow, you can do whatever you want. And me, who's ridden ATVs through snow, mud, heat, literally everything. I mean, look at this mud picture, okay? We're ATV riders, we love it. I just gunned the throttle so hard. Scared the living daylights out of the tour guides. It was so funny, but I mean, I was in control the whole time, so I don't know why they were scared. Take that, teenage people. Assuming the teenagers can't do anything. Yes, I'm salty about it. Okay. Anyways, after that, we decided to go to an old ghost town at the top of a nearby mountain. That's Jerome, in case you remembered. And it's full of all sorts of cool stories. This is probably one of the best old towns I've ever been to. Hauntings, abandoned copper mines. I'll tell you what I remember of the history. In the early 1900s, settlers discovered a massive copper vein stretching all the way through Magnus Mountain. Of course, people came flocking, wanting to get rich. It's said that enough pure copper came out of those mines to give every human being in the world today an ounce of copper and still have some left over it. But somehow all of it was gone by 1950. And to this day, not a combined cupful of copper has been found. That's insane. They worked fast, I'll just say that. The mine had been stripped to the bone. The population, which had tripled in a single year of its first growth spurt, was now falling just as fast. Jerome was now a ghost town. Finally, a group of hippies found the place in the late 1970s and began advertising it as America's biggest ghost town, because that's what it was. So today, it's a decent-sized tourist attraction built into the side of one of AZ's impressive mountains. The neatest person we met there was one of the hippies who actually helped bring the place back. He owned a pottery shop that he'd built with his own hands 40 years prior, right next to this broken down house that had a lot of cool history that I unfortunately don't remember enough of the story of to tell you. He told us the history of the place, as well as why it's supposedly haunted. Now, I don't believe in ghosts, except for the Holy Ghost, but he almost convinced me. You see, because of the amount of wealth and the amount of people, the sheriff and the guards couldn't keep up. Lots of people plus lots of money equals lots of danger. The crime rate, especially the murder rate, quintupled from 1930 to 1945. It's said that someone died in every single building of that town. That gives way to the names like the Asylum, which is a hotel that was built in an old hospital. The Haunted Hamburger, which was a restaurant that was once a jailhouse. And Los Muertos Rancheros, a Mexican street taco place whose name translates to the dead cowboys in English. And yes, I had to translate for Dad. The buildings are the original buildings, which was really cool. And the mines are still there, and you can go in them. We didn't have time to, unfortunately, but we saw them, and they were very cool. There was also this place, a gem shop owned by the granddaughter of one of the original copper miners. I got this cool bracelet, and we also got a copper bracelet, imported copper, of course, for my mom. And we met some cool lizards. We ended up eating at Sonic Burger for dinner, a burger place recommended to us by the tour guides, featuring guitars and autographs from almost 100 famous rock guitarists, including one who lived in the town. I didn't know who he was, though. Dad did. I didn't. It was pretty cool, either way. We went back to the cabin after that, crashed on the bed, and watched The Help here. The Help. Awesome movie. First of all, definitely go watch it. Lots of cussing, unfortunately, but we didn't know that when we started it, in our defense. Basically, The Help is a movie about slaves in the South during the time of segregation. So technically they weren't slaves, but they were maids who were treated as slaves and paid next to nothing. So it talks about them fighting for their rights, it talks about them hearing of the Rosa Parks movement and joining it, it talks about a whole bunch of different things, but it does a really good job of showing both sides of the conflict. White Southern plantation owners were in the wrong, obviously, but I do appreciate that they showed how hard it was for people to break a cycle that was hundreds of years old. They showed a lot of the complex cultural things that made slavery so hard to break that I really appreciate, because usually it's just blacks versus whites, but really it's good versus bad. And it's not always white people and black people, even back in the South. Like, that was really cool to me. I'm glad that it ended well. Because it wasn't like, you know, the utopian ending of, oh, everything's fixed, because not everything was fixed. It would take another 30, 40 years for everything to be fixed. But it did, like, they fixed something in their town, in their circle of friends. They made this book that told of their experiences. They got their story out there, and people were affected by it. And it was also really funny, but it was a very good storytelling and accurate from what I know of history. So definitely go watch it. The next day was day 3, and it started with a banger. We went to Devil's Bridge. Well, that was the idea, but first we had to find it. We parked on the wrong side of a road next to a ton of unmarked trailheads, and I was the first one to figure that out. So while Dad was on his phone trying to find a trail that didn't exist on any map, I just went over to the other side of the road and found a massive kiosk telling me where it was. It was very funny, actually. Once again, beautiful scenery and a very long hike, but totally worth it. But what I loved most were the people. Once we got up there, we saw a long line of people waiting to take a picture on the 30-foot long, 5-foot wide rock bridge 70 plus feet above the ground. There were all sorts of people there, waiting, from vloggers to tourists to professional influencers. My favorite part was the fact that everyone accepted everyone else. It was one of the only places I didn't get looked at weird for my rig, and like 20 people offered to take pictures for us, and we took pictures for a bunch of people too. It was really cool. They also showed me how to use some of their fancy cameras, which was awesome. It was a really cool community to hop into with both feet for a few minutes and get some amazing pictures of the scenery. Only bummer was that the drone wouldn't get a connection. That would have been amazing. Flying the drone under that bridge. It was so thin. Like, it was so scary to climb out on that. Also, Dad jumped across on coming back. Instead of walking over the other side like a normal human being, he decided to jump over a 70-foot down gap. It was only like 2 feet wide. He probably wouldn't have fit if he fell anyways, but it was still scary. So Mom was kind of mad at him. That was really funny. But once we got back, we had lunch and went swimming at the Red Rock Creek swimming hole, that was really funny because Red Rock Mysteries was a mystery series in Colorado that my dad and I read growing up. So we made a lot of jokes about it. The water, by the way, freezing cold, but it was worth it to escape the 90 degrees of dry heat for a little bit. Although I will say, I do prefer their dry heat to our, like, humidity. It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyways, we also set up some cairns for fun at the edge of the creek with river pebbles. After that, it was just dinner and Dad's Zoom meeting, a chill evening after an exhausting day. Now, day 4 was pretty boring, or I thought it would be. We were supposed to wake up around 7 a.m. and spend the entire day just driving from Sedona to Lake Powell, but I found myself woken up at 2:30 in the morning by my father in pitch black darkness, telling me to get up because we were gonna go see the sunrise. So I was like, sure, let's go, but you don't need to get up at 2:30 to see the sunrise. It doesn't rise until like 6. It was worth it. Trust me when I say it was so worth it. He drove us 3 hours to Mather Point, which is an overlook on the east rim of, you guessed it, the Grand Canyon. I wasn't expecting to see the Grand Canyon for another week, so when I got to see it that day, on the only 4th day of being in Arizona, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, just look at it. I don't know how to describe it. It was beautiful. It was huge. I mean, honestly, it looks super impressive on camera, but it was even more pretty in real life. I was exhausted, but it was entirely worth it. And we got to watch the sunrise just like he promised. The rest of day 4 was pretty well, from a film standpoint, boring. We spent the whole day driving across the top of Arizona through Navajo Nation territory, which meant we weren't legally allowed to film inside the cities. We did stop at a cool-looking boulder overlooking a massive valley and climb it. I will say the wind gusts at the top were insane. I thought I was going to get blown away into the canyon, but I didn't. Thankfully, obviously, because I'm still here. I don't know why I needed to say that. Then, more driving, and we saw a dam. Not the Hoover Dam, unfortunately, but we'll get there, promise. We did stop to take pictures with it, and then we went back to driving, stopped at Safeway for snacks, drove the last 30 minutes to our Lake Powell Airbnb, making it there about 9 p.m. and crashing. Now, I'm going to hope that you enjoyed that video. If you didn't, please tell me why, because I need help editing. This is my first time doing as big of a series as this is, so hopefully it's going well. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment what you want me to do next, all of that good stuff, because I need ideas. And then, stick around for the next video, because next time, we've got some fun stuff planned. We've got kayaking, we've got hiking through the desert, which for a person from Maryland was a very fun new experience, also a very hot new experience, some bouldering, and a photo shoot and tour of Antelope Canyon. So make sure you stick around for that. And I will see you next time. Peace.